Here we go. It's 7:01. We are ready to start the live stream now. I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of June 14th, 2021. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held electronically, and members of the council are participating remotely pursuant to the council's electronic participation policy. Public access to the meeting is available on the Local Government Access Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers, and on the city's YouTube channel online. Public access is also available by telephone by utilizing the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. All callers will be muted and may only comment during the times allotted for public comment as indicated on the agenda. If you're on the phone waiting to speak to council and are also watching the meeting on YouTube or Channel 8, please know there are a couple of seconds of delay with the live stream. Please turn down your computer or TV volume as we approach the sections of the agenda reserved for public invited to be heard, so you can hear the council meeting on the phone and to prevent background noise when you are unmuted to speak. Those calling in and wishing to speak to council may text 303-450-8757 to sign up to provide public comment. Please note that you must connect to the City Council meeting by calling the separate call-in number listed on the agenda. If you prefer to not text your name to the clerk, please speak up and indicate your desire to provide public comment when prompted at the appropriate times. Once you have been recognized, state your name and address and provide your comment. Thank you for following these directions and for maintaining meeting decorum tonight. Joanna, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Leidy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Welford will be absent tonight. Councilmember Witkovich.
Here.
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Downing.
Here.
Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Brown.
I was looking for the agenda. Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Duran-Malika.
Here.
Thank you.
Excellent. Please stand as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let me share my screen so you can see the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have, let's see, we have new people with us. Resolution, we're going to start with CR 60. This is our Ward 4 City Council member appointment. I read the title for you. Joanna, you want to read it? There's probably a more elaborate one.
A resolution appointing a Ward 4 member to the City Council of the City of Northglenn, Colorado.
Excellent.
Move for approval.
Second.
Please call the vote. Oh, is there any discussion? I'm so sorry. I need to drink this coffee.
I would just like to say welcome to Shannon, and we're glad to have you join us tonight. And let me know if you need any support or questions answered. We're eager to get to know you better. Hopefully, we'll have in-person meetings soon.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate it.
I see a couple unmuted council members. Do you want to say anything?
Shannon, this is Becky Brown, Ward 2. Welcome to City Council. I also would like to reach out to you and let you know that if you need any help understanding anything, because it's a real learning curve. And I know that your term is short at this point. So if you need anything, give me a call. I think that Joyce and I are the long-termers now. Julie and help me.
Joni?
Thank you. Julie and Jenny are right behind us. So if you need any help, let any of us know and we'd gladly help you in any way we can.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Brown. I will certainly take you all up on that.
Good.
Yes, welcome, Shannon. It was lovely spending time with you this week, and we're just happy to have you.
I'm beyond excited to be here and excited for this new journey and to serve in this capacity. I know I have a great support system here in you guys, so I'm looking forward to serving and also grateful for this opportunity and deeply honored.
Okay, Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Downing,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika,
Yes.
I will close that vote. And CR 60 passes unanimously.
Awesome. Okay, so now we have the oath of office. So I'd like to invite Municipal Judge Amanda Bailhash here on the screen. Good to see you, Judge, to administer the oath of office.
Yes. Good evening. Right, and so I'll say a phrase and then just repeat after me. I, Shannon Lukeman Hiromasa, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
I, Shannon Lukeman Hiromasa, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
The Constitution of the State of Colorado.
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
The laws of the State of Colorado.
laws of the State of Colorado,
The Northglenn City Charter and the ordinances of the City of Northglenn.
the Northglenn City Charter and the ordinances of the City of Northglenn,
And I will faithfully perform the duties of office of council member
and I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of council member
of the City of Northglenn,
of the City of Northglenn,
upon which I'm about to enter to the best of my ability.
upon which I am about to enter to the best of my ability.
And you are sworn in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to our family.
I'm ready to be a part of the family. Thank you.
So when we do this in person, there's a little more, I don't know, pomp and circumstance maybe with you walking to the dais. So you could, turn your camera off and back on if you want. I don't know how to make that fun virtually. Yay, now she's official. Excellent.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am so grateful to be here.
All right. Well, we have a full agenda, so we're glad you're here. Response to citizen inquiry. City Manager Geyer, do we have any tonight?
Just a couple things. I wanted to take the opportunity to highlight an event on June 16th, this Wednesday. It's hosted by our DICE board. It is a Pride virtual panel that's going to take place from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It's a community panel focused on gender identity, expression, and sexual orientation. Registration is required, so please, you can learn more information at northglenn.org/pride. And then because we won't be meeting again until June 28th in terms of a regular meeting, I wanted to also just put a plug in for Pride Night, which will be June 26th. That's a Saturday, 5 to 9 p.m. We'll have a celebration for Pride Month with a drag show and silent disco, dinner via food trucks at E.B. Rains Park. So more information again on northglenn.org. And thanks to DICE board members with us this evening for their work in planning that event, and looking forward to celebrating with you. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Okay. We have 3 very important proclamations tonight. I'm going to begin with National Gun Violence Awareness Day, which was on June 4th. If you noticed on social media, our city staff and our police department did participate. And it was just a calendar thing that we were not able to celebrate this proclamation prior to the event, but we were very happy to do so tonight. So I'm going to pull up my screen. Okay. Whereas every day, more than 100 Americans are killed by gun violence, alongside more than 230 who are shot and wounded. And on average, there are nearly 13,000 gun homicides every year. Americans are 25 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. And whereas Colorado has 805 gun deaths every year, with a rate of 14 deaths per 100,000 people, and has the 21st highest rate of gun deaths in the United States. Gun homicides and assaults are concentrated in cities, with more than half of all firearm-related gun deaths in the nation occurring in 127 cities. And whereas mayors, city council members, and law enforcement officers know their communities best and are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their residents safe. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever, as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to exacerbate gun violence after more than a year of increased gun sales, increased calls to suicide and domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. And whereas in January 2013, Hydea Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15. To help honor Hydea, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, and the 100 Americans whose lives are cut short and the countless survivors who are injured by shootings every day, a national coalition of organizations has designated the first Friday in June as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadea's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange. They chose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas everyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 4th. On this day, we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children and community safe. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, hereby proclaim June 4th, 2021 as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. In the City of Northglenn, to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence, and to declare that we as a country must do more to reduce gun violence. I encourage all residents to support efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this first day of June, 2021. So as I mentioned, this is sort of an after the fact proclamation, but it is still extremely important, especially given the weekend that our nation had. So I am pleased to welcome Kathy Kelly with Moms Demand Action to accept our proclamation. So Kathy, are you with us on the line or by video?
Actually, I'm both. I'll turn on my
Oh,
video.
perfect.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Hi.
This is your third year
Yes.
joining us, and we are honored to have your strong commitment to gun violence. As you said, 40 million guns were sold during COVID, and just this first quarter of 2021, 16 million more guns have been sold. And while that in and of itself isn't a dangerous thing, it means that there's a lot of new gun owners. And so we use National Gun Violence Awareness just to bring attention to the number of people that are impacted by gun violence every single year. And so we are grateful for the city of Northglenn and for your commitment to honoring those survivors and victims. Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate you being with us tonight. Council members, does anyone have anything to add? Councilmember Brown?
I understand the importance of gun violence as much as anybody else, and I do appreciate you taking this on. I think that it's gun owners' responsibility to, protect themselves, protect their children. But unfortunately, a lot of the violence that we have is not related to legitimate gun owners like myself, who keep mine packed away in an 800-pound safe. So I do appreciate everything that your organization is doing, and I appreciate you coming forward this evening. It is evening.
Thank you.
Thanks
Meredith,
again.
Is there any way as a city, or maybe it's Heather, that we could promote a gun safety class through our city? Because I noticed that in California, you have to take a gun safety class before you can purchase a gun. I know we can't affect that change at a state level, and we really can't at a local level, but can we offer any kind of safety classes, or could you look into that for us, Heather?
I could look into that and see what it would take. I can talk with Chief, and I know there's organizations not only in Northglenn but in neighboring communities that offer that. So I think a primary question would be, would we want to just direct our residents to those options, or we want to do something ourselves? So I can check with them if council supports me looking into that further.
And at Moms Demand Action, we do have a program called Be Smart, which teaches parents particularly how to keep their kids safe, how to keep their guns put away, and also that challenging question of asking other people, do you have your guns in a safe, and is my child going to be exposed to unlocked weapons? It's an awkward question, but we've got some great techniques to teach people along the lines of keeping your kids away from foods that they're allergic to, or dogs that maybe they're afraid of. So we've got some training on that as well, and are happy to support you in whatever way we can.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Heather. But do you need the rest of council to agree to look into that?
I would like council consensus in order to do that, just to be clear, because I'll need to spend some time trying to figure out what makes most sense and give council some options. It would be a new program if we were to offer it ourselves. So to be consistent with city council protocol, I'd like direction.
So Heather, can you, without going too crazy, can you look into the neighboring programs? Because if we don't have to develop it ourselves, if it's right across the street, I don't know. Can you look into that first before creating a new program?
Well, I can, as long as council is of the same understanding that that's the direction for me to do. Okay, so I'm going to look at neighboring programs and share that information with council.
Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
I think at this point, nodding is what you got for consensus.
I saw the nod. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. And I do believe, and I'm forgetting the actual title of it, but I know our police department has a safe storage program, correct?
They do, and we also offer rebates. If a gun owner does not have a safe and wants to purchase a safe, they can then take that receipt, provided that the safe is over a certain value, to the city and get a rebate. At least we did have a rebate program when I got mine.
Great. Okay. Well, again, Kathy, thank you for being here. All right, our next one, and I'm going to ask this question just because I don't want to make an error. That so Pride Month is the month of June, and our proclamation has the LGBTQ plus. Is that the correct way to say that? I just want to say it correctly all the way through.
You got a heart from Deja.
Deja, thank you so much. I was like, I just don't want to mess that up. So thank you very much for the thumbs up. I appreciate the support. Okay, so let me share my screen. Oh, and I love the graphic on our proclamation. Okay, whereas Pride Month celebrations include people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, two-spirit, pansexual, gender fluid, non-binary, as well as heterosexual and cisgender allies. And whereas, while there has been remarkable progress toward acceptance and equality in recent years, members of the LGBTQ plus community in the United States and around the world still face an unacceptable level of discrimination and violence. And whereas we must acknowledge that the LGBTQ plus community has faced and continues to face discrimination, including restricted rights, social stigma, challenges accessing healthcare and other basic social services, and startling rates of violence. And whereas we must stand together against those who threaten the safety of LGBTQ plus people and affirm that members of the LGBTQ plus community deserve more than civil rights. They deserve to be fully welcomed, to be safe, and to live in our community without the threat of discrimination or harassment. And whereas Pride is a time to recall the trials the LGBTQ plus community has endured and continues to endure, and recognize the resilience, determination, and accomplishments of individuals who have made influential and lasting contributions in support of LGBTQ plus rights. And whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for Northglenn's LGBTQ plus community, and is an opportunity to take action and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. And whereas the City of Northglenn proudly reaffirms its commitment to protecting and respecting the rights of every resident, business owner, worker, student, and visitor who are a part of the LGBTQ plus community by hosting Pride events and flying the rainbow flag at City Hall, and we will be adding other city buildings during the month of June. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim June 2021 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month in the City of Northglenn, and encourage all residents to celebrate our proud and diverse community and reflect on the ways we can all live and work together with a commitment to supporting visibility, dignity, and equity for all people. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 14th day of June, 2021. I really like that. Okay, so we do have Deja Moore with us tonight. So I'm going to stop sharing so that we can see her face. Hello. She is a member of our DICE board. DICE stands for Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board. She is here to accept the proclamation, but also to introduce any other members of the DICE board that have joined you tonight. Deja, you can take the floor.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mayor Leidy and Northglenn City Council. I just want to thank you for issuing this proclamation in honor of Pride Month, but also to celebrate our lives as LGBTQ plus folks, and especially during a time where our rights are being undermined. Here with me today too is Chase. They're amazing as well. They'll be serving on a Pride panel, which Heather alluded to earlier. And yeah, I think that's it from DICE. But thank you so much for allowing us to be here and for issuing the proclamation. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Councilmember Goff, as well as a member of our DICE board, Celeste, for being present at Thornton City Council meeting last Thursday. we actually advocated for the Pride flag to be shown at City Council and for City Hall. And it's so awesome that Northglenn actually had a yard sign visible for homeowners to really show their.
Here he is.
Yeah. Thanks, Celeste. Yeah. I just want to thank you for having yard signs visible for folks to be able to advocate and show awareness for our community, especially knowing that our rights are being undermined and sometimes we're not celebrated. So yeah, Thornton actually passed the initiative 5-4, and they will be showing the Pride flag now. So thank you.
That is awesome. Does anybody else I saw Celeste and I see Chase. Does anyone else want to say a few words? Councilmember Goff?
Yeah, I don't want to, if anyone else wants to speak, I'm happy to wait.
I didn't see any other hands, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say that I'm both
I didn't
proud.
just in time.
Oops, I'm hearing some other voice, but I'm both proud and humbled to be the City Council representative for the Northglenn DICE Board, the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board. I'm proud of the work that our board has done, and it's an amazing amount of organization and coordination to put together the events for Pride that we have already mentioned, a panel this week, and then about a week and a half from now, the Pride events at E.B. Rains Park. But I'm also humbled to be working with such talented and dedicated individuals on this board. I've already learned so much from them, and I want to thank all the members of the DICE board for the time and commitment that they have dedicated to Northglenn. And I also want to thank the city staff who have been working hard to support our goals with scheduling, support, and all the time and resources they put in. We've delivered, we're on track to deliver 300 yard signs that say, I have Northglenn Pride. And I think we could probably have given away more if we had them. So thank you, everyone. Northglenn's a wonderful city to live in. And when we see the community support for something like our Pride Month events, it's just very heartwarming. So just once again, thank you to everyone, every resident, volunteer, and staff member that has supported us this month. Thank you.
And just a small win. We were able to personally give one of our Northglenn Pride signs to the governor this afternoon. So that was fun. Councilmember Brown.
I just wanted to share a little story. I actually had gotten my sign weeks ago, and it started a little flurry on our street. And now there's a competition because there's 2 different signs out there, and I want their sign. I love my sign. So if I can get another one with the new sign, that would be really great. And I'm excited. I was worried about my sign for a little bit, but I'm excited that it's still there every morning when I wake up. And that there are more signs on my block than any other block I've seen in Northglenn so far. So keep up the good work, guys. We really do appreciate it. And I will protect my sign. I told my husband that. I will protect my sign. And if it gets taken like some of the other ones have in the neighborhood, I'll be right back at you. Okay? Much love to all of you. Thank you.
And sort of to piggyback on that real fast, I did notice some of our social media celebrations of Pride Month and announcing our Pride events have also been met with warmth and kindness and encouragement. And it has just been so heartwarming to see. So Chase, sorry, I see your hand.
Oh, no, I don't have a whole lot to add because I believe that Councilmember Goff and Deja Moore and you guys all said most of it. I just wanted to say thank you for including Two-Spirit people, Indigenous people in Pride Month and all people of color, because that is such an important intersection and sometimes is forgotten when we talk about Pride. So, because it's such an important part of our history. So thank you very much for this opportunity and for being such amazing people. You are the foundation of our community. Thank you.
Councilmember Lukman, I just want to say it right, Hiramasa?
Hiramasa, that's correct. I know it'll take a little bit. I also just want to extend my thanks to the DICE board. My son is gay, so this is actually something as a mother that's very near and dear to my heart to basically see what should have been done all along, you know, everybody having to fight for their rights just to be treated as human beings. So that part is sad, but I think coming together as a community, we can really change people's mindset. And I need a sign. So thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. It's very near and dear to my heart.
Awesome. Any other comments? Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. All right, and I'm sorry for that weird little glitch. I kicked something and all my screens went black. So I panicked. So that was distracting, I'm sorry. So now we are gonna get back on track. We have our next proclamation is Small Cities Month. So let me make sure I have that. Okay, here we go. Whereas small cities and towns under 50,000 population are the home to millions of Americans and constitute the vast majority of municipalities across the United States. And whereas the National League of Cities president and the Small Cities Council of NLC have declared June as Small Cities Month. And whereas small cities and towns strive to strengthen their communities through the provision of services and programs to improve the quality of life for all residents. And whereas the federal government is an essential partner in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to continue to support programs and legislation that strengthen small communities. And whereas state governments are partners in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to continue to support key programs and legislation that strengthen communities. And whereas organizations, businesses, and residents are partners in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to continue to grow their efforts to make small communities a viable choice for people to live in. And whereas during these challenging economic times, the need for a renewed intergovernmental partnership to support essential public services is more important than ever to ensure the safety and growth of small town America. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim June 2021 as Small Cities Month in the City of Northglenn and encourage all levels of government, organizations, businesses, and residents to recognize this event and to work together this month and throughout the year to invest in small cities and towns to better the lives of all residents. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 14th day of June, 2021. Northglenn is my personal favorite small city. I would like to turn the floor over to Councilmember Joyce Downing, and you can give us a little more information about this.
Thank you. I appreciate the proclamation. NLC has a constituency group of small cities, which is the largest actually constituency group in NLC. I mean, we've got so many members. It's so important that we remember all of our cities. You know, we think of Northglenn is actually a large city in the small cities community. Many of them, you know, just have a couple thousand people in their townships or meetings. But we are we're on the boots on the ground. We support our businesses and provide our services. And it's just really, really important that we support everyone, you know. So I appreciate it. I will tell the Small Cities group, the council, that we have a proclamation. And thank you very much.
Thank you. It's important to note that Councilmember Downing serves as the Vice Chair of the National League of Cities Small Cities Council. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Moving into presentations. We have Robert Kreiser here to do our 2020 audit. RSMUS will present the auditor's report. So I will share my screen, Mr. Kreiser, and you can just direct me. Welcome to Northglenn City Council. It's good to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Yeah, my name is Robert Kreiser. I'm the engagement manager on the City of Northglenn External Audit. I'm just going to briefly go through some 2020 financial performance highlights and then go through the required communication with city officials. Before I do start, I do want to thank Jason and Joanne and their team for all their hard work this year. It is no small feat to get an audit done in a fully remote scenario. So just wanted to take the time to thank them and their team for all their hard work to ensure that we got everything done timely. They're wonderful to work with and they do a great job. If you could go down just to the next slide, appreciate it. So this here is just the total revenue of all governmental funds for 2019 and 2020. And as you can see, revenue did increase about 11 million or 28% in 2020. And two main factors of these, the first is intergovernmental revenue increased 7 million or about 157%. And about 3 million of that was specifically related to federal CARES dollars, which I'll speak a little bit more about later. The other large factor was an increase of 4.4 million or 160%, specifically related to contributions or developer contributions. And I guess there's any point in time, feel free to raise a hand or ask a question, and I'll of course, or if you want to wait, you can ask them at the end.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep I'll keep a lookout for hands. So if you guys
appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, this next slide here is the expenditures by function for the total governmental funds. Also in 2020, there was a significant increase. The expenditures increased by 26.8 million or 69%. And this was really mainly just due to an increase in capital outlay. If you look at the capital assets additions in 2020 is about 32 million compared to 10 million in 2019. So really the whole of the increase was really specific to capital outlay projects in 2020. The next slide is specific to governmental activities net position, which did increase about 4.4 million or 3%. And you can see that the change is specifically mainly just in unrestricted net position, which is of course great to see for the city. The next slide is just general funds, specifically just the general fund balance, which at the end of the year was 24.1 million, with that 71.3% being in unassigned, which is about 17.1 million at the end of the year. And then other large chunk of 24.1% was the committed funds, which is the largest piece was 5.7 million, which is the emergency reserve. The next slide speaks specifically to the enterprise funds. Operating revenue increased 1.5% or 1.5 million, excuse me, or 11%. This specifically was related to charges for services, specifically rate and usage increases, while operating expenses actually decreased 550,000, which was a decrease of about 4%, and was specific to a decrease in water operations expense. I do sincerely apologize. There is one typo on this presentation, and that's operating income, excluding depreciation. It actually increased 2.2 million or 72% as a result of the increase in operating revenue and decrease in operating expense. And then cash flows increased 2.9 million or 81%, specifically for the enterprise funds. So those are all of the financial statement highlights. I will take a brief pause if anyone has any specific questions to the financial statement highlights before I go through the required communications.
I don't see any hands.
Doesn't look like it. All right, perfect. So just to require communications to city officials, we do audit under 3 separate standards. The first set is generally accepted auditing standards, where we ensure that the financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And in 2020, we issued an unmodified or clean opinion. And also in relation to 2020, there was an adoption of GASB 84 in the current year. It did not have any impact on the city, so there were no significant changes to the basic financial statements. There were 2 accounting estimates that we did additional work as an audit team this year, and those are the depreciable useful lives of capital assets and the fair value of investment valuation. And we do additional work as an audit team to ensure those accounting estimates are appropriate, and there were no issues with those accounting estimates in 2020. There were also no audit adjustments, no uncorrected misstatements, no disagreements with management, and no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. The AFR will also be submitted again for GFOA submission, and you can note in the 2020 audit report the certificate of excellence from the 2019 annual financial report submission. The second set of standards that we audit under is government auditing standards, where we issue a report on internal control over the financial statements. And in 2020, there were no significant deficiencies and no material weaknesses noted in the City of Northglenn's internal control. This last bullet point, if you look at the report, is really the change in 2020, and that is the single audit and our third set of standards that we audited under this year, which is a uniform grant guidance, where we audited 1 major program in 2020, and that was assistance listing number 21.019, or the Coronavirus Relief Fund. And the Coronavirus Relief Fund accounted for 83% of the schedule of expenditures federally awarded. And we tested this as a major program, and we issued an unmodified or clean opinion in relation to that testing. And we did not note any compliance, no compliance findings, and no control findings related to our major program test. So if you are looking at the 2020 financial statements and comparing them to 2019, the compliance report that you will see at the end of the 2020 financial statements is new in 2020 compared to 2019 due to the city's federal expenditures being over $750,000, which triggered the single audit to be performed. That is really all that I have. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilmember Brown.
I just want to agree with what Robert said. We do have a fantastic staff. I've been looking at these for 5 years now. And in all honesty, I don't think we've ever had a mistake or anything that had to be fixed at the end. And we just have a great staff. So thank you to Jason and Joanna for doing that for us.
Yes, I agree with Councilmember Brown, but also, Robert, it's important to know that when we don't have questions, it's not that we don't find your presentation interesting. It's that you answered all of them in your presentation. You did a great job. So thank you for being here and presenting tonight.
I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night. All right, public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. Joanna, did anyone sign up to speak to council tonight?
I don't have anyone signed up on the list, but I do have one voicemail that I'd like to play. So I don't know if you want to take anyone who might be on the phone line first, or...
Well, why don't you go ahead and then we'll do the phone.
And so I do want to mention the voicemail is from resident Mark Bromley. Mark also addresses marijuana delivery. And so since that's set for public hearing, I am going to skip that portion of his voicemail, and I'll play that later to make sure that that gets on the record during the public hearing.
Okay.
So here we go.
Thank you, City of Northglenn. I'm Mark Bromley, and this is my city commentary for the meeting on June 14th. I'd like to thank the city for recognizing the LGBTQ Pride Month, as many families in the Northglenn area and House District in the state of Colorado has friends, family, and members and relatives seeking inclusion and acceptance within our always diverse communities. Thank you for being considerate enough to provide recognition of the LGBTQ community. I wish my own brother Danny was here today, for he would have wanted to be part of such civic activity. On the issue of and they would be able to move for illegal. I would also like to request that fireworks show by the City of Northglenn be reinstated at the EB Rains Park for the 4th of July, and do request the city to authorize lawful use of reasonable fireworks to commemorate the holiday in the City of Northglenn. We as Americans know what is acceptable and what is not. Does the city have to be cruel on the 4th of July? In a national holiday that commemorates the veterans and the first USA people. The national anthem says in it, bombs bursting in air, and that our flag was still there. So let's properly celebrate our 4th of July. We should also recognize June 14th as U.S. Flag Day, and that BPOE is the organization that represents Flag Day the best. God bless America. Don't forget, Columbus Day is still October 12th. Thank you, City of Northglenn, for playing my recording. This is your 52 years for life resident, Mark Bromley. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's see. We'll just wait a minute if there's anybody on the line, and I think it's *6. Is that correct, to unmute? *6 to unmute if you'd like to speak to council tonight. Okay, that is all for public comment tonight, or public invited to be heard anyway. We do have a couple more opportunities. Okay, moving into communications. Mayor and council. Who's doing the Legislative Policy Committee update tonight? Catherine Goff. Okay, you know what, Councilmember Goff, I'm gonna actually have you go first. So go ahead and do the Legislative Committee update as well as your own personal one, and then we'll move on.
All right, well, thank you very much. Well, I'm going to keep it kind of brief tonight because on June 28th at our city council meeting, we'll have a presentation from our lobbyists with a legislative recap. So I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but I just will say that we did discuss how this year 2021 legislative session was one of the busiest and I don't know, most cram-packed session we've had for a long time. They actually finished early. They did 116 days in session and adjourned on Tuesday, even though they could have gone a few more days. And one of the reasons that most people are saying that it was as big and jam-packed as it was because of COVID last year interrupting, and then there just all the extra bills and finance issues that came out of COVID. So 3 major topics we got kind of covered today were the bills. A lot of bills were passed or at least brought up and debated, and many were passed on law enforcement. Also, there were several bills on the environment, which this year there was a lot of focus on environmental justice issues, which was kind of new, or at least to have as many as we did this year. And then, of course, the big transportation bill was passed this year. Also, the Front Range Rail District and some RTD, organizational cleanup bills. So those, again, we'll get some more details about later in the month. Gun safety bills were passed, including the safe storage. And let's see, there will be committees and task forces meeting this summer, and they'll probably start in July. So our legislators that have to work on those don't get a whole lot of a break, but they get somewhat of a break before they get back in business. Then the other one, this is kind of a little offshoot, but earlier today, Governor Jared Polis signed House Bill 1265 into law right here in Northglenn at the Glen. And so that is what's called the Qualified Retailer Retained Sales Tax for Assistance Bill. And basically what that means is that many of our local businesses that prepare and serve food are going to get a tax break for 3 months this summer. And that's part of the COVID assistance that we got from the federal government. So I was fortunate enough to be there this morning to see that and to talk to the owner of the Glen, who spoke in high praises of the city of Northglenn and how easy he found it to work with us. So I was proud to be a representative of our city at that event. And our next meeting will probably not be until August, towards the end of August. So I guess that's it.
Great, thank you. All right, going back to the beginning. Councilmember Peterson.
I have nothing to add, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Witkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few updates. Back on June 8th, I attended the Historic Preservation Commission meeting, and I'm happy to report that the commission approved the strategic plan that they've been working on all year. It's a really great document, ambitious, and I was happy to be part of those conversations. And I think that Sarah Dusenberry is on the line, so I just wanted to extend a big thank you to her because she kept everybody organized. She did a lot of work to make that happen. So I'm really proud of the commission getting that taken care of. Lots of good stuff on the horizon for that commission, and so it'll be exciting to watch it all. On June 10th, I attended the fundraiser for the 5-Star Education Foundation out at Topgolf. It was a really great time. Ran into Mayor Leidy there, and I heard more than once how appreciative the foundation was for funds that the city of Northglenn gave them last year throughout the pandemic. So they were very appreciative of that. And I wanted to make sure I shared that with all of you. And then finally on June 10th, later that evening, I attended the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. It was a hybrid meeting. I was virtual. The entire board was in council chambers. And then we had a few guests that attended virtually. There were a few hiccups in the beginning, but ultimately I think it worked out really well. And so, I think that's going to continue to be an option for that board and potentially others. So hopefully one day that'll be a good option for us as well. During the meeting, we heard a park naming proposal by the Dice Board to name the Justice Center West Park after former Mayor Odell Berry. So that was exciting. And on June 10th began a 90-day waiting period for public comment about that. So if anyone's interested in adding support for that or speaking against it for some reason, please speak up. Let us all know. The board also elected their new officers that evening. We heard from Amanda Peterson that the rec center is on time and on budget still. Always exciting to hear that. And we have a Ward 3 vacancy on the board with one of our longtime members moving out of the city. So we're sad to see David Swayze leave, but we do now have a Ward 3 vacancy on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. So if you're interested, please apply. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilmember Brown?
Oh, you want to know what I did last week? I was thinking about Ashley's comment about the park being named. I must be misunderstood. I must have a wrong memory because I thought the city council eventually would have to vote on the name change. Is that correct? Or am I wrong, Joyce?
It will come to city council.
For a vote.
But it goes to the Parks Board.
First.
To consider. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My big contribution last week was that I went to the food truck event at Wyco Park. Again, we are a fabulous city. It was, it was attended, but I'd like to see more people stick around, and really enjoy it. And I look forward to our next one, which is next Friday or this Friday. Heather's looking for me.
Not sure. This Friday.
It's this Friday.
Thanks. And what parks are those at, Diane?
Yeah, do you know, Diana, off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I will look and report back.
It's on the website where our residents can look at, but it was a really good time. Other than that, I really, didn't have a lot going on that was related to city council.
Councilmember Downing.
Thank you. Just a couple brief things. I did attend the Sustainability Committee retreat about a week ago. And I just want to, have a great shout out to our staff for supporting the citizens group. And they are so excited about bringing so many things to council. I'm not going to share what was discussed at the retreat because there will be a presentation by them shortly. But we have 2 co-chairs and each one brings a wealth of knowledge. Everybody works well together. And I think you're going to be surprised at what they bring forward. They're very excited about it. The only other thing I have is just a note that the Modern Musical Studio actually reached out to the Stonehawker group, and they're going to have their first annual concert on June 26th in the late afternoon, early evening for their students. They reached out to us because when they were planning their annual or yearly concert, they couldn't find a place due to COVID. And so they reached out to us and we said yes, and they still want to come no matter what. So we're really excited about having them.
Great, thanks. Councilmember Duran-Mullica.
Yeah, I actually don't have much of an update. The only, I think, thing I wanted to chat about briefly is the Adams County Vaccine Equity Roundtable that I attended last week. And really, it's just was a great conversation trying to talk about how to increase vaccination rates among people of color. And, there is a community in need. Federal Heights is the biggest one closest to us. The vaccination rate is, I believe they reported out like 25%. So a lot lower than Northglenn, but obviously has impacts on our community, right? As those that aren't vaccinated could still get sick, spread that illness, and affect our community members. So it was a great conversation about what are some of the barriers that we need to try and still overcome. And there's still a lot of work to do in that area. That is all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember Lukeman-Hiramasa. Oh, I thought you shared already. I'm sorry. Councilmember Goff, you want to go again?
No, I'm sorry. I only did the legislative committee. Sorry. I just wanted to say a couple of things. I attended several CC4CA meetings in the last week and a half or whatever it was. And we will be bringing forward the final draft of the new policy statement for our city council to take a look at and approve towards the end of July. So that's something we'll be looking forward to. And I did attend one of our summer concerts at E.B. Raines Park on Wednesdays. They've been 2 of them so far, and we've got some more. Again, a great time. Did go to one of the food truck events this last Friday at Danahy Park. I can never say the name right, but over by the Croak Reservoir. That was a lot of fun. The weather was perfect. So just want to encourage our residents to get out and take advantage of some of the many events that we're offering for this summer. And that's it. So I'll let Shannon go now. Thank you.
That's okay. I heard other personal things after the legislative committee. So I thought you were done. I did not mean to skip you. Councilmember Lukeman-Hiramasa.
Thank you, Mayor. Since I'm the new kid on the block, I don't have any updates as a council member since today is my first official day. But I just wanted to say that I'm humbled and proud to be a part of council and to serve my community representing Ward 4. I did have a chance to do a few things as a member of the CCPP board, which I think will carry into my experience as a council member. Had a chance to go through the mini academy, which was amazing to learn more about the training and procedures that our PD extends. And I highly recommend any citizens do the Citizens Academy because it's a great experience. I guess the highlight was for me to attend the Hate Crimes Forum and just to see the care in the community was incredible. The care shown by Chief May in terms of moving forward and doing better, I think was a great theme and also very eye-opening for me to understand what actually constitutes a bias-motivated crime and what our police can and can't do. So that was really eye-opening. It was a great experience. So I highly recommend for everyone to view that if they can. And then I did attend the Alvin Thomas Park food truck event on June 4th. So that was fun. Wasn't a lot of attendance, but I hear all the other events are getting packed. So that was really great. And then last, I'm very excited to officially attend my first Ward 4 meeting. I believe it is the first Ward 4 meeting in person. And that is coming up July 8th. And I'm very excited to be a part of that. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a lot for, being sworn in an hour ago. So you're on top of it. I just looked at the calendar. We haven't had a regular city council meeting with updates from council for weeks because I was realizing my list of things was pretty long. So I won't repeat some of the things. I was also at the 5-Star Foundation fundraiser with Councilmember Witkovich. But I wanted to highlight a couple of things. So I was at the swearing in of our Deputy Chief, Randall Darlin, and that was a great event, but it's also, I just want to publicly welcome him to our city. That added position was a recommendation in our 360 assessment of our police department, the restructuring of leadership, and Chief May has been working with his team, and this position was created. And it's the swearing in ceremony was lovely. It was nice to meet his family and welcome them to Colorado. And it was the first, I believe, in-person event after some of our restrictions started to be lifted. So that was nice. Welcome to Deputy Chief Darlin. I also had the opportunity, as did some of our CCPP members and our, I just lost the name of it, Citizens Police Academy members, to participate in the use of force training simulator. So this is something that is owned by the metro area police departments. They share it. It's housed at the Northglenn Police Department, Thornton Police Department, and everyone shares it. So we had it for about a month, and that experience was so eye-opening for me. It was, there was so much learning. I asked a ton of questions and I learned so much. I mean, it really was a fascinating experience. So when it comes around again, I really do encourage all council members to take part. I just, engaged with it for about an hour, and it's a live simulation of crimes that have occurred in our city. Hot topic, not really, but crimes that are getting nationwide attention. We could do that. But it was the ability of the operator to escalate or de-escalate as people move through it. The whole thing, I really can't even describe it with appropriate words. I just am very thankful to Chief May for letting me take part in that. I know City Manager Geyer also did as well, I believe, as the assistant to the city manager, Rupa. And it really, when it comes around again, really you need to get in line because it is such a good experience. So much learning is done. I could go on and on about that. The Hate Crimes Forum, I also attended, but I wanted to take a minute and just, I don't know, praise our team. Northglenn hosting the event. Rupa did a fantastic job putting it together, organizing it. Tamara was the moderator. Diana was helping with questions. It was such a collaborative effort at our maintenance and operations building, but it was also such a learning experience. I learned a ton about the law and the definition and how it can be applied or not applied. But also we had 2 residents that stepped forward to be a part of the panel. And so those residents serve in other capacities in our community. Gerald and Isan were well-spoken and passionate. We also had residents in the audience that asked amazing questions, and it really was a fantastic event. And the district attorney, Brian Mason, thank you to him for being there and hosting that. I do not recall the name of the FBI agent that was with us, but she was awesome. So we could look that up. But as a whole, the event was something that I think our city should be really proud of. And I hope we do things like that in the future. It was fantastic. Yeah, other than that, I think I already mentioned that we were able to share one of our Northglenn Pride signs with the governor today, and it was nice to host him in our city. And, you know, we know that Representative Malika is a Northglenn resident and he loves Northglenn. And so he invites people to our small city anytime he can. So it was lovely to see the governor's team and the legislators that came along. So I think that was it. I'm going to go back to, you got to do that simulator. It's very cool. Okay, City Manager Geyer.
Thank you, Mayor Lighty. One thing to share with council this evening is a reminder that tomorrow evening, beginning at 6 o'clock, we have a swearing in ceremony scheduled for 3 officers. We will be having Adam Schroeder, Jeffrey Reisner, and Angelina Valenzuela, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, sworn in as officers with Northglenn PD tomorrow evening. So hope you can join us. It'll be in the community room at the Justice Center. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Great. City Attorney Hoffman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. I do not have anything to report tonight.
All right. Well, it's good to see you.
Likewise.
City Clerk Small.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just have one quick item tonight. I want to let Council and members of the public know that information regarding the November 2nd municipal election is now available on the city's website. That includes a copy of the 2021 candidate guide. So please visit the website. If you're a member of the public and don't have access to the internet or equipment to access that, please stop by the city clerk's office. We have hard copy packets that we are more than happy to hand out to everybody. So that is all. Thank you.
All right, moving into the financial report. Jason Loveland, Director of Finance, will provide the April 2021 update. So Jason, I have your general fund slide. I will pull that up for the group.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. April 2021, so I'm going to start off with an update on sales and use tax, but stay on this slide. You're on a good slide here. But just a quick update through April, sales and use tax was up 12.5% compared to the previous year. And last year, this was, you know, just really getting to the impact of COVID, where things had shut down in March about midway through the month. So at this time last year, we were down 5%. So we've rebounded through April. From down 5% in 2020 to up 12.5% in 2021. Specific numbers in a little bit more detail there. Auto use has rebounded quite well. It's up 12.8%. Sales tax specifically on merchandise that food, restaurants and retail stores is up over 14%. The food tax you'll see is only up 0.25%. That's because it was up 22% last year at this time. So we see kind of the ebbs and flows of different industries and the impacts year over year. And then marijuana tax is actually up 13.5% in 2021, and it was still up 4% at this time. So the food tax and the marijuana tax continue to have strong performances, and auto use and sales tax are catching back up to some of the losses that they had endured last year through April. Within the city, we talk about the geographic codes. Those areas are up 10%. We're also seeing strong performance with our online and out of city businesses. That continues. But within the boundaries, sales and use tax is up 10%. So positive performance through April all the way around. So now specifically to the general fund revenue report slide that we're looking at, you'll see total general fund revenue is at $7.3 million. That's up 2.2% over last year. I'm going to touch on a couple of the line items. Intergovernmental revenues, you'll see are down 19%. That's actually a timing issue with the collection of our road and bridge tax of $116,000. So we're relatively flat despite that timing of collection in May instead of April. Licenses and permits, that's up 12%, largely due to right-of-way permits being up $30,000. And then on charges for services, that is still down significantly. A couple of factors there would be the opportunity to utilize the recreation center and do those programs. And then plan review fees for Carl's Farm that were collected in 2020 of about $220,000 are impacting that line item when we look year over year. Fines and forfeitures are up 63%. And then investment earnings, we've talked about that each month, just with lower interest rates across the globe. We're seeing an impact there. It's not because we don't have cash invested, it's that the rates have declined so much. And then the other revenue line that is up significantly due to we receive on our city purchasing card a rebate, and that rebate revenue came in this year a little bit earlier than in 2020. So we have a rebate of $110,000 in that line item. So that's why that shows a large increase through April. If you go to the next slide, we can touch on expenditures briefly. So in the general fund, this is broken down by departments. Total revenues, or total expenditures, excuse me, of $8.5 million. That's up 7% over the prior year. A large portion of that is the timing of some of our payroll and our salary and benefits. You'll see human resources, technology, and finance, the administrative group showing some large increases. Some of those increases are due to, as I mentioned, salary and benefits, some purchase services, and some equipment purchases from technology for new programs and new initiatives in 2021. If we go to the next slide, we'll talk about the water fund. Thank you. Consumption of water actually through April was down 1%. We'll see an increase in that water charges line at the top of 3.6%. Total revenues in the water fund of $2.5 million, up 2.5% overall. Expenditures of $2.3 million, that's up about 4.5%. The largest category there is operating expenditures, so salaries and benefits, increases to other services. Capital outlay, we have some large projects that are just getting underway, so that line item is down compared to this time last year. And then down below in the blue box, you'll see specifically water usage and that consumption being down 1% and seeing a slight decline in that revenue. And then the two taxes that 0.5% sales tax and food tax that hit the water fund, they're up 9% and then that 0.25% respectively. If we go to the next slide, we can talk about the wastewater fund. Total revenues here are just under $2 million with expenditures of $1.9 million. Wastewater charges are up 4%. On the capital outlay line on the expenditure side, $1.1 million, about $790,000 of that is the Bunker Hill lift station project. We're just getting started on the force main and lift station A project, so the majority of that capital outlay is from Bunker Hill. And also contributions up in the revenue line item, that is contributions from the developer for the Bunker Hill lift station project that you'll see. And that's really driving why revenues are higher due to that contribution. And then the other financing uses and sources, second line from the bottom, that is the bond proceeds received, again, for that large force main and lift station project. The next fund we'll discuss is stormwater. And that shows revenues of $120,000 and expenditures of $49,000. The expenditure side up slightly for some professional services related to potholing, doing some work on our stormwater lines. Otherwise, this fund, there's nothing really to report there. And then lastly, on the sanitation fund, total revenues of $525,000 and total expenditures of $431,000 on the next slide. One item to note here, trash charges, you'll see up about 2.5%. Specifically, $18,000 of that is due to roll-offs. There's continued to be an increase in that revenue line item now with renting out roll-offs to the community for their projects. So I can take any questions that you might have, or if there's anything else you'd like to discuss on the report, I'm happy to do that as well.
Councilmember Brown?
Jason, where are you? There you are. I'm letting you off the hook. That's 2 in a row now. You owe me. No, I didn't see anything that I needed to question this time or that I felt the need to question. So thank you very much. General question. And it's brought on by conversations of constituents who have watched our city council meetings and see our general reserve. And the question is, what is a normal general reserve? Do we need to, and then I guess this one is towards Heather. Do we need to start looking at possibly putting more of our general reserve back into the roads like we had talked about before COVID? I know that was one of our major focuses before COVID, was that we were going to put additional funds from the general fund over into our roads. Do you know where we are with that, or could we actually start discussing it again?
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. So I'll just answer the question. The reserve level is at 89%.
Right.
Through 2020. And we are starting the 2022 budget process right now. So we'll definitely be bringing conversations forward with council on funding different projects and different strategies to work on that fund balance. Specifically, I don't think that there's a right answer for what the fund balance should be. Specifically, we have our minimum, emergency requirements of 25%. So the right answer is above 25%. And then anything above that is really policy decisions from council on long-term impacts and effects that they would like to see with that overage. So,
I pounded you about general reserve all last year because I was worried about COVID and just really watching it. But Heather, I would like to make sure that we have that conversation again when we start talking about budgets on our roadways, on some of the more weathered roadways.
Absolutely. For next year, part of what you're going to hear during the budget discussion is we're scheduled to do an update to our PCI rating. So we'll do an assessment next year and then go through a prioritization of roadways. The other piece to further what Jason alluded to is not only in the budget process, but starting July 19th, we're going to bring the discussion to council about the American Rescue Plan funding. So a component of that use can be for infrastructure. And so those conversations can parallel one another. And what I would add to what Jason shared is there's no right answer. Council has their policy. GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, does provide guidance or best practice guidance to cities. And so the rule of thumb that I use and have throughout my career is typically when you get above 35%, you want to have your governing body start looking at deferred maintenance infrastructure uses of those funds. So I think you have the right policy framework in place, and those conversations will be forthcoming through ARP and then the 2022 budget process.
Okay, thank you.
Becky, I'm with you. I have my roads picked out.
Yeah, my big one. But yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the kind words regarding the audit. And I appreciate the work of my team and specifically Joanne Koenig for her effort working with the auditors. So I wanted to circle back to that real quick. So thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. All right, moving into the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Downing?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran Malika?
Yes.
Councilmember Lukman Hiromasa?
Yes.
I will close that vote and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Excellent. All right, moving into public hearings. CB 1971. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A bill for an ordinance amending Article 14 and Article 16 of Chapter 18 of the Northglenn Municipal Code to allow for the delivery of marijuana.
Now open the public hearing on CB 1971. And I do believe we had one partial comment. If you want to play that now.
And this is from resident Mark Bromley.
On the issue of allowing marijuana delivery in the city of Northglenn, I oppose this activity as I know from the past of Northglenn, this will become a means of unenforceable drug distribution for all local distribution to close up shop and move outside the city due to tax burden. I feel being that Northglenn is small, there would be no reason to maintain a local store, and they would be able to move to more tax-friendly cities like Westminster or Thornton, who have better incentives. This would mean delivery would come from outside of Northglenn, and as such, this would mean illegal activity would escalate in the guise of this service. I grew up here when drugs were illegal, and many illegal drug deals were done via mobile delivery. Opening up the city to marijuana delivery would simply create a lawless condition for illegal narcotics to operate in Northglenn with impunity. I oppose marijuana delivery in Northglenn, as it would be near impossible to regulate a controlled substance of this nature.
Okay. All right. It sounds like we may have someone else. If someone has unmuted and is ready to speak, either for or against CB 1971, you have the floor. Please state your name and address for the record and provide your comments.
We did have one individual indicate that they wanted to speak during the public hearing, and his name is David Mitchell. So is David on?
Sorry, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
My apologies. My name is David Michael, and I am General Counsel for Agati Limited. We have operated a store in Northglenn since October of 2018, and we operate 20 licenses around the state. I have also been, prior to being General Counsel of Agati since 2014, been in private practice in the providing counsel to the marijuana industry since 2009. First of all, I am in support of this ordinance, and I do have two amendments. I provided an email detailing those amendments that I would like to advocate for. If they are not accepted by council, we are still in support of the delivery ordinance being passed as is. The two amendments that we would recommend are as follows. First, in the last sections of section 1B and 2B of the proposed ordinance, I would like to see it read delivery by medical marijuana centers or medical marijuana transporters licensed and located outside of the city is prohibited within the city limits of Northglenn. Essentially says the same thing. However, I think the point of saying within the city limits provides additional clarity, which is important for anybody looking at the codes, as I would be doing potentially if we were located outside the city and looking in. And then correspondingly in section 2B, I would like to see the last sentence of that paragraph changed to delivery by retail marijuana stores or retail marijuana transporters licensed and located outside of the city is prohibited within the city limits of Northglenn. I hope that this is a clarifying amendment that the council can support. The second one is in relation to support of brick and mortar stores. Small cities, and I know you guys are celebrating that, being a small city this month, and we've loved being a member of the business community in the city of Northglenn. It's so critical to protect brick and mortar stores from Amazon-like businesses that are focused on delivery rather than having a in-person retail experience focused on the consumer, and in this particular industry providing that education that's so important when people are consuming marijuana. And I would like to propose an amendment that reads as follows. No retail marijuana store may derive more than 50% of its gross annual revenues from total sales of marijuana and marijuana-infused products from the sale of marijuana and marijuana-infused products that the retail marijuana store delivers through its own permit or a retail marijuana transporter in one calendar year. The delivery cap shall be no more than 50% of the retail marijuana store's prior year's sales, except for new retail marijuana stores who are responsible for staying under the cap in their first year of business based on performance during that year, and then will be 50% of each prior year's sales cap in the subsequent year. Each retail marijuana store license will issue a statement certifying that no more than 50% of its delivery sales of marijuana and marijuana-infused products exceeds 50% of its prior year's sales at each annual renewal of its retail marijuana store license with the city. The same could also be used in the medical section as well. This is absolutely, I believe, critical in that stores have, in California, groups have gotten licenses with very small retail footprints. They do not invest in the retail experience as we have over the last couple of years, and then really are running a delivery only business and delivery focused business. Liquor has the same statewide ordinance or regulation of only allowing 50% of their store footprints sales being through delivery. And we would ask the city of Northglenn to impose the same. This was proposed at the state level, but was not taken up for reasons that related to transporters and social equity for that. So I would like to field any questions that the city council might have on the proposed amendments, and thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Okay. Is there anyone else on the phone? *6 to unmute. Okay, hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Moving into ordinances on second reading. So we just heard the title, CB 1971. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, City Clerk Joanna Small will provide a summary.
Again, Mayor and City Council. Staff is presenting CB 1971 on second reading to allow the city's licensed marijuana businesses to deliver marijuana within the city. CB 1971 would allow licensed marijuana businesses and licensed marijuana transporters to apply for a delivery permit to deliver marijuana to customers at private residences in the city. And it would also prohibit marijuana businesses located outside of Northglenn from delivering into the city. So only marijuana businesses licensed by the city to operate a medical or retail marijuana store or a city licensed marijuana transporter would be eligible to apply for a delivery permit. The city, for reference, currently has 6 marijuana businesses and 0 transporters licensed in Northglenn. So CB 1971 also requires all deliveries to comply with state regulations. The regulations are lengthy, they're attached in the packet, but I'll just touch on a few of those. So businesses would be required to provide training for their delivery drivers. The delivery drivers must also be licensed employees of the business. There are procedures to verify proof of age and ID. Delivery vehicle requirements, including video surveillance. Their record keeping requirements, including they must document when a delivery cannot be completed. Limits on the quantities of marijuana that can be transferred in the motor vehicle. Inventory tracking using the state's metric system. There can be no external markings indicated to indicate that the vehicle is being used for marijuana delivery. Marijuana can only be delivered to private residences, and I want to just expand on how that's defined. Businesses cannot deliver to commercial property, such as offices or retail space, public property, or schools or campuses, so only to private residential structures. Customers must be 21 years of age or older. If a delivery is for a medical patient who is under 21, it must be delivered to a parent or a guardian of the patient. And so that essentially also means that no deliveries can be made to patients, medical marijuana patients, who are between the ages of 18 to 20 if they do not have a parent or guardian with them. So the ordinance as drafted also contains 2 local regulations. The first would restrict the hours of delivery to coincide with the business's operating hours. And that currently cannot be earlier than 8 o'clock a.m. or later than 10 o'clock p.m. Another local regulation would require delivery drivers to use an electronic ID scanner to verify the customer's identification at the time of delivery before transferring any marijuana to the customer. So marijuana delivery is not permitted within the city unless council adopts an ordinance to opt in to allow the delivery of marijuana. And I also want to mention that approval of the ordinance does not automatically allow marijuana businesses to begin delivering marijuana. licensed businesses and transporters would need to apply for a delivery permit with both the city and the state licensing authorities. And they would be issued permits before the deliveries could begin. Staff recommends approval of CB 1971 on second reading. If adopted, the ordinance will take effect 5 days following publication. And upon adoption, staff will prepare application packets for marijuana businesses who would like to apply for a delivery permit. Also, if adopted, a resolution establishing the fees for marijuana delivery permits will be brought back to council for consideration at a subsequent council meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions that council might have.
Councilmember Brown.
I love my Spock finger when I put my hand up like this, by the way. It makes me laugh every time. My question is more towards Corey. Corey, our speaker mentioned that liquor stores are under the same requirements, that 50% of their volume cannot be through delivery. I would just like you to speak a little bit about that, because I don't remember us, as he pointed out. Okay.
The liquor delivery is recent in Colorado. I'm frankly not sure what the state regulations are related to liquor delivery and the 50% threshold. Mr. Mitchell did provide some draft language related to his request that the city for marijuana do the 50%. It really is a policy question, and I would only suggest that perhaps the clerk's office and the finance department might have some input as to the additional work that might be entailed to determine the 50% threshold. And I would note that in Northglenn, because there are a limited number of retail businesses based on the various distance limitations, those licenses are fairly hard to obtain based on geography. And so I think that the chance of having the, non-retail retail store is probably less.
Okay. Thank you very much for your opinion, sir.
Any other questions or comments from council? Councilmember Goff?
Thank you. This is really a follow-up question, and maybe for Corey, but I guess what I'm thinking about the future possibilities of one of our current marijuana retailers being purchased by some major chain or something, and that at that point the amendments might be more pertinent. But I also think at that point in the future, could we not make an amendment at that time?
Absolutely, you can amend this ordinance at any time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, we're pretty quiet, so I think we're ready. Oh, Councilmember Malika, I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
That's okay. I just had a quick clarifying question, I guess, from Joanna, just to make sure that I understand this process. So for the retail marijuana transporter license, you said we currently don't have any license in the city as of today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so how does, just to make sure I understand, how does that transfer from a retail store to a transporter occur? And how do we ensure safety in that, transition?
Yes, let me grab. So our understanding from the State Marijuana Enforcement Division is that transporters cannot take orders directly from patients or consumers. So transporters could only deliver on behalf of a marijuana store, whether that's medical or retail. And a contract would be required between that marijuana business and that transporter in order for that transporter to make deliveries in the city.
Okay. And is that contract part of the permitting process for that transporter? do they have to have a contract in place before we give them a permit to be a transporter? I'm just curious.
Yes, I would believe it would be required as proof to make sure that everything was in order and that transporter was connected with that marijuana business.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you so much. That really helps clarify things. So like if there was a marijuana business that didn't want to use like a third-party transporter process and they just really wanted to do their own delivery, then, you know, they wouldn't have the contract in place. Okay. All right. I just needed to double check that process and and how the transporters are going to be linked in there. So thank you so much for clarifying that.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was doing a little bit of research here, and I guess there was a similar amendment or bill or whatever suggested at the state level about that 50% threshold for sales for marijuana delivery, and it did not pass at the state level because it negatively impacted social equity transporters who might get started at a smaller local level and then want to scale up. So I don't know, that's just something we could consider. I think it sounds to me like we weren't really interested in making that amendment right now. And in the future, if the need arose, we would do a little bit more research if that's correct. I'm understanding. Yeah, Corey's nodding. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Just trying to give you more wait time. All right, I think we're good. Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Downing?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran-Malika?
Yeah.
Councilmember Lukman Hiromasa?
Yes.
I will close that vote, and CB 1971 on second reading passes unanimously.
All right, resolution CR 64. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement between the Adams County Board of County Commissioners, the cities of Brighton, Northglenn, and Federal Heights, and the town of Bennett for the conduct of the Community Development Block Grant Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hi, Sarah. Are you here tonight presenting this item for us?
Yeah. So quickly, do you want me to just discuss kind of what's in it? Okay, absolutely. So quickly, Adams County is what's considered an urban entitlement county, and under HUD, Department of Housing and Urban Development rules, we are allowed to enter into an IGA with the county to determine use and allocation of their funds. We've been doing this since about 1986, and there's the agreements get renewed every 3 years, with the latest one being June 2018. Recently, our allocation has been around $240,000, and currently we are allocating those funds, more accurately 2019, 2020, and 2021 funds for the Adams County Minor Home Repair Program to support our residents. The current IGA includes that provision for the 3-year automatic renewal. There are no other proposed amendments, and the renewal will be for fiscal years 2022 through 2024. As the title said, it is a multi-party agreement. And then kind of overall, the IGA looks at the various responsibilities for each party, primarily that we will follow Adams County's rules in accepting the funds and using them and reporting back to them so that they can correctly and legally report to HUD. And their agreement is that they will do so. Currently with the Minor Home Repair Program, it is actually primarily run by Adams County. So the burden on staff is not very high. And then the kind of financial implications of it right now, it's just that we're allocating the funds to the Minor Home Repair Program. And that is all I've got. Any questions or anything I can help with?
Thank you, Sarah, for being here. Councilmember Duran-Malika.
quick question, Sarah. So we're going to be allocating the $240,000, and that's something that we've done for, I don't know how long. I'm looking at the memo quickly, for quite a while, 2018 maybe. So is that always enough money? Do we run out of money? I'm just curious if it all gets used up.
Generally, it does get used up. We recently switched into doing the minor home repair program. We were previously doing infrastructure or kind of public sidewalk and lane striping for bike lanes. We realized that the best use would probably be the minor home repair program, and that those funds will get completely used up across repairing homes and the required administration that Adams County uses. So those will be fully.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see any hands. All right, Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Downing?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran-Malika?
Yes.
Councilmember Lukman Hiromasa?
Yes.
I will close that vote, and CR 64 passes unanimously.
Excellent. All right, we are in the final stretch here. Public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment. Statements are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to an item previously addressed by council during tonight's meeting. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council at this time? You may press *6 to unmute. Well, if I look at our list of participants, they're all us. It's all our team. All right. I was thinking about something, it came up briefly a couple times this evening. Heather, can you remind me where we put on the tentative future agendas the conversation about returning? So it's not the actual return date, but the conversation about returning is on what day?
Certainly, it's Monday, June 28th is when we have that conversation scheduled.
So we know, back and forth, other meetings are starting to open up. And so on that day, we will have the discussion about a phasing back in plan. So just kind of to have that in the back of your mind. I thought I'd make sure people saw that. So congratulations again to Shannon. Welcome aboard. And no further business. We are adjourned. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks. You too.
Night. Thank you.